At the moment, we have our scripts and our styles directly added to our header and footer area. This is from earlier when we created the Bootstrap template. We have the CSS in the header, and then in the footer down at the bottom, we have our JavaScript. If we visit the WordPress site, we don't see any styling and also things such as the images and icons. What we're going to do now is to remove these hard-coded links and then move them over to the functions.php. We can then include them into WordPress by using functions called WP enqueue style for our style sheets, and for our script it will be WP enqueue script. But why do we need to do this at all? Well, there are a few reasons. Well, imagine our WordPress theme required jQuery for it to work. And then imagine if we had two plugins, and both those plugins also required jQuery. If jQuery was hard-coded into our theme and also into the plugins, this would mean that WordPress would need to download jQuery 3 separate times. This would slow down our site, and to add to this, they could also be different versions of the same script, which may cause version conflicts. Also, a particular script may also be bundled with WordPress, so we may not need to download it at all. Using these functions, this will allow WordPress to take over and only load exactly what is required, and it can also take care of any additional scripts which are dependencies to. So let's begin over in the header.php by removing the style sheets from here. So remove all 4 of these, and then we can also remove all these scripts from the bottom of the footer. So we have 2 here. We can also remove these comments. Save that file. And then we can go over to the functions.php. We can add these back in by creating a PHP function. So down at the bottom, still within our PHP section, I'm going to add a PHP function called tranquil_scripts. Add the brackets just afterwards. First of all, I'm going to add the styles. Let's add a comment up at the top. So add the styles. And then inside of here, we can start with the WordPress function called WP enqueue_style. Semicolon at the end. WP enqueue style can take up to 5 parameters. The first one is the name of the style sheet, which we're going to add in as a string of Bootstrap core. And this name must also be unique. This second parameter we need is the source. Here we can use a WordPress function called getTemplateDirectoryURI, which will point to the root or the home directory of our project. So let's add this in now. So get_template_directory_URI, and this will point to our home directory, which is all our files and folders on the left here. We then use a dot, and then we can add in a file path to our CSS. This is going to be our minified Bootstrap version, which is in the CSS folder. So as a string, we can add /CSS, and then the file is the bootstrap.min.css. If we give this a save now, let's close the sidebar, over to the browser, and then hit reload. We don't see any changes to our project at the moment. To actually run the function, we need to add an action, and this action is going to be responsible for starting off our function. So just below, we can add action. This is just like we added above for our setup. This time though, this is going to be our script. So the first argument is WP enqueue_scripts. And then the second one is our custom function name of tranquil_scripts. So this action will run our custom function of tranquil scripts, which is this section here, each time the WordPress's WP enqueue scripts function is called. Now we can save this and then refresh the browser. And now our Bootstrap styles have been applied. There are also some more style sheets we need to add to this function, such as Font Awesome, our Google font, and also our custom CSS. So let's do it exactly the same as before. I'm going to copy and paste this style. This time I'm going to call this Font Awesome as the name. The link this time needs to be adjusted to point to the font awesome file. So this is /CSS, font awesome, /CSS, and then we need the all.min.css. Let's check these icons are working. Hit save, reload, and there's our icons down in the footer. There's also our custom CSS file too. And remember, as a requirement of WordPress, we needed to move this to a style.css file, and this is in the root of our project. So underneath here, let's copy and paste in a new line. This is going to be for our custom file. We also need to grab the home directory with get template directory URI. This time we don't need to add a file path since this is in the root. All we need to do is add the file name of style.css. Save and reload. And we can see some custom styles have now been applied. We don't have the images applying just yet, but we'll come back to this very soon. The final thing to add are our scripts for jQuery and Bootstrap. We can add our Bootstrap.js file in a similar way to the styles, but this time instead of WP enqueue style, we run WP enqueue script. So let's add this in just after our third style. So the function name, WP enqueue, and this time this is script. Inside of here, we first add our name. So this is going to be Bootstrap.js. Again, this is a name of our choice and it must be unique. Second of all, we're going to copy the file path from here and add this in. We also need to use this to point to the home directory, and then the file path which we're going to use. This is going to be /JS, and then / the name of our file, which is bootstrap.min.js. We can also add just after this an array of dependencies. I'm going to add a dependency of jQuery. We can add multiple scripts into here, and jQuery is bundled with WordPress by default, so we don't need to add this as a script. Separated by a comma, just after this, we can also add a fourth argument, which is if we want to use a specific version number. We don't, so I'm going to add this as null. The fifth and final value is going to be true. Setting this value to true, we'll declare that we want WordPress to add this script to the footer using the WP footer tag, which we added earlier. And this is this one here. Finally, if we save this and then reload our theme, oops, and it looks like we've got a syntax error. So let's check this out. And if we're just missing a semicolon, give that a save. We can check the JavaScript has been loaded. If we scroll down the browser, and we know the JavaScript is working because our dropdown is fully functional. If we now expand the browser to be a little bit bigger, and then we go to reload the source. First of all, let's go to the top of the file. If we look closely, we can see our custom CSS. We can see our font awesome, and also our core Bootstrap CSS has been loaded. And then right down to the very bottom, we also have a script here, which is for our bootstrap.min.js. So you've now learned how to add style sheets and scripts to WordPress the correct way. This allows WordPress to control what is loaded and avoid any potential problems.